all the panelists over here. It's pleasure to meet you all. I had a chance to look at all your organizations before coming to the panel. So I'm aware of, your institutions and the work you have done. So Nerva Educational Foundation, Head Over Heels School, and Amanora, sorry, I'm just mispronouncing it if I am, and Arise International School. So I've seen all your work just in like 15-20 minutes. It was so amazing. And what you are doing with the kids is so adorable. And, all the kids in the preschools, the kind of activities they are doing, ma'am, first of all, kudos. So first, this brings me to start the session with the context saying that, today on 25th of July, we are, marking the 3 years completion of the NEP. So which has brought a new vision into education. So there are various aspects in this NEP that focuses the most prominent aspects of, Indian education and 21st century skills as well. So from the point of view of reinventing, the school leaders' roles and responsibilities regarding the NEP and the NEP expectations, and what are the ground challenges that the school leaders are facing, right? We know the vision, we know what the way forward, but the ground realities are completely different sometimes. So we want to throw light on that. We want everybody to know, like, what are the challenges we face on a daily basis to implement these things. It's not easier, right? So that is one thing we will discuss, in the way forwards. So this is going to be our context of discussion today. And, my name is Sunayana, and I work as operations manager at BrightCHAMPS. So let me just show you a little about BrightCHAMPS so that we can go forward. Hope you can see my screen, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes.
One second, I'll just stop sharing them. So yes, this is about BrightCHAMPS. We are leading global edtech company. We teach, innovative courses like entrepreneurship, financial literacy, coding, and robotics, entire globally. So coming to this panel, and I have with me 4 panelists over here. Vindi, Pujari, Director, Nerva Educational Foundation, Dr. Padmashree, Ballal, Principal, Head Over Heels School, Madulikka K. Sharma, Principal, Amanora School, Kanika Anand, Principal, Arise International School. So welcome all the panelists, and thank you for taking out your time. This means a lot for us. So first, setting the context for NEP. So there is a huge, set of pointers that the government has given us to, you know, sort of completely pivot from what we were doing before. This is what completely I feel, because traditional way of education has been going on in India from a very long time, right? So to come out of that bubble and to do something completely different, so it's a very bold and very important step government has taken. And if we have to look over the, I'm just giving you overall key pointers for the educationalists that the NEP has given. First thing is, all students from 3 to 18 years have free access and compulsory education. Need of children of all backgrounds and disabilities and disadvantaged sections of society to have education. And holistic development, not only academics, they want the attention to be pandered to all extracurriculars as well. Curriculum reforms they are thinking, and critical thinking, creativity and problem solving, these kind of skills to be in, you know, inculcated. And early childhood care and education, compulsory education at the very early stage, this is one of the policy. And teacher training and professional development, like they are emphasizing on teachers to be equipped even with the technology, if I'm not wrong. So next is assessment reforms they are looking at, vocational education, and the school governance and management, asking the schools to go free, you know, into all into developing more technical wise infrastructure, you know, providing all sorts of facilities for the students. And you know, culturally to be inclined towards the local culture that they have. And research and innovation, so to go more into details of how education can be reformed. So these are, I think, the most important pointers given by the government. So my first question would be, how does the NEP envision the role of school leaders, and what are the significant expectations laid out for them? So would anybody like to start, or
yeah, I can. Okay, Padma ma'am, you can take it. No worries.
Thank you. So yes, Sunayana, very nice question. And yes, whatever you said, the objective and the goals of NEP, and it is, I think this course is the webinar, or also the audience to hear this course is very, very important. When I start with new, just away from the question that you asked, I will touch to that question a little later. NEP, if you think it is like a new idea, we all are saying it's new NEP, but I think it is the way of teaching. Right? So we have actually lost ourselves in teaching more into blackboard, writing, answering, documentation, assessment, evaluation, and then the course, and then the percentages, right? So this rat race and these competitive exams and everything has taken us away. If I'm saying us, means all the educationists, taken us away from the creativity that we are meant for, the interest that we should able to clear. So this new NEP 2020 is callback. So usually when we forget something, the nature only calls back. Come on, you have gone far away. Now it's a callback to come back and do your duty. So I think this NEP is a callback for all the educationists, that this is what you are meant to do and not what you have done. You have lost the sense of education. So if you are an educationist and if you look at this process, I think it is not very difficult to understand. Right. Suppose if I decide to make a paper flower, right? Of course, I will put my creativity into it. I will put my ideas into it. I will select a color that I want to. I will also know the purpose why I have to do it. I will collect all the resources for the same. NEP is also asking for same, that if you want to create a child, educated person or an educated citizen, what you have to do is you have to look after the holistic development of the child. You have to prepare the child for the future, get ready for the future, which is like a computer age. Now the children are meant for computer age. So you are preparing the child for computer age, and you have to know how the child can fit himself or herself in all the different situations which he has to face or she has to face. Now, how do we do that? So everything has a process. Now, all these processes have even if you are an entrepreneur, or if you are an artist, or if you are a doctor, everything has a process. Similarly, NEP also has a process to go about it. The first thing that we have to is to accept that this is meant for us. What I feel that this acceptance is not yet developed in all the teachers and in all the educationists. They think, nahi, bahut kuch hai karne ko. Nahi, bahut kuch hai. Who will do this? Who will do it? No, it is not too much to do. It is interesting. But nobody is trying to touch it. All are talking, but they are not touching it because they think that itna kaun karega. One thing. So acceptance is there. Second, the trust has not been yet built. All are talking about NEP. Why? Because they think that what will be the result? There's so much of confusion. So they are not trying. Let others try, then we will do. So there's no trust built in parents or in teachers. Parents we will touch later because they are only trusting the school and sending. So parents we will not talk, but teachers, they are not even thinking. They're saying, let's other teachers or other school try and then we may try. Right? But coming to the significance of NEP, it is very, very important because this mind, the computer age mind is meant for innovation, is meant for technology, is meant for creativity, is meant for innovations, Unless and until you give them all these things, they will not be satisfied. They have to go through this way. In our B.Ed and in our M.Ed also, we learned about learning by doing. How many of us are actually doing learning by doing? We are learning by learning. We are learning by memorization. But how many of us, we are learning by copywriting. How many of us are learning by doing? We all appreciated that movie, 3 Idiots. Right? But how many of us are practicing that? That one very dialogue saying, Gyan sab taraf bat raha hai. Kahin bhi khade rahiyo. It is like this. If you are standing somewhere and looking at something, you're actually gaining something. That pause, that thinking is also gaining. So you're actually doing something, you're actually gaining. Right? So NEP is very, very important. I would request all the educationists, all the leaders, school leaders, because unless and until they bring the change will not happen. They have to percolate it to the downlines, right? So they have to accept, they have to trust, and they have to execute. Now, execution should not be only by the leader or only by the expert. If you are the principal or if you are the authority, you have to take the charge of that planning. You have to see how it will go, how it will be integrated with the subject. You have to sit with your expert teachers and then you have to delegate that this is how we are going to plan and this is how it should be executed. You trust, but after that, you also have to evaluate whether that is happening or not happening. That is also equally important. If teachers are unable to do it, then you have to have trainings for that. Why? Because they cannot work in confusion. Right. Now, as we say, common sense is not common in common people. Actually, thinking how to teach a concept is not very easy. It has to be taught to someone. So these modern methodologies should also be taught to teachers or should be exchanged by principals or the experts or the educationists, or should have webinar like this where we can talk about how this concept can be taught. What are the different ways of doing it? So all these things are very, very important to have NEP 2020 function at full speed. And I am for it because I think that's the only way of teaching. So you give it that experience, children retain that experience. When they retain that experience, they learn. They don't have to memorize much. And when they learn, they know when to apply and when to execute. So learning becomes functional when you do it. And that's what NEP is trying to say. NEP is saying that teach children how to handle problems. Right. Teach children how to face the world. Teach children how to accept the world and how to make yourself comfortable when you feel that you are not comfortable. That's holistic development. So I think, yes, we must promote, we must train teachers, we must help teachers to grow, we must tell teachers that this is how it should be implemented. There are many different methodology through which we can do, but yes, it is very important to have NEP 2020 running in all the schools and crossing all the curriculums through all the grades.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Very well put and very well said. So I think first awareness should be the first step for NEP is what I feel. Even if it's 3 years that it started, not everybody is aware of it, right? So Vindi, ma'am, if you can, share your views also. So
No,
thank you,
definitely.
Padma, ma'am.
I definitely agree with what Dr. Padmashree Ballal said. It's the implementation which has to be looked into. So we talk about a lot of things. NEP, so much of documentation work is done. NCF has gone beyond NEP, saying there is a proper system of implementing NEP. Like
Right.
how it's like a guideline. When you have a book as a guideline, so NCF guidelines are also there, how you implement NEP. But at your level, in your college, or if in your school or your preschool, how do you implement it? That is very important. You might have a guideline, like when you have B.Ed exams, M.Ed exam, you have textbooks, you have manuscripts, you have things where you refer to. But how is it implemented? So how it should start is when you're implementing an NEP program, which is given by the government, is first to train the school leaders and the principals. Our self-training is very important to understand how are we to train our teachers and the teachers in turn to train the students. So when you have these kind of, if you want to upgrade yourselves as principals, as school leaders, I think there should be some kind of a standard testing procedure before an employment of a particular principal or a school leader starts off. Give yourself a testing standard. Understand where you stand to judge somebody else or to assess another teacher whom you're going to employ, and that teacher in turn trying to implement that curriculum into your school, in your school classroom. So it starts from that school leader. This is what we are talking on. Our main topic of discussion here is implementation of NEP when it comes to school, the big school thing, what you're looking at, all the stakeholders. There may be investors, the trustees, the school principals, the school teachers. Everybody makes the full framework of a school. Here where the change has to come, where we improve ourselves. Like you have exams for doctors yearly to improve themselves, to understand what's the current scenario of a system of the medical field. Same thing I suggest should be implemented at our level as leaders, where we stand to understand what should be done with our teachers and our other stakeholders.
Right.
Big takeaway I want to give over here. Rest everything ma'am has covered.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Madulika, ma'am.
Yeah, if I would like to just, take it. Thank you to both the speakers who have preceded me. And I completely agree to what they have said. Yes, if it is the need of the hour to usher in, a new era in school education and in higher education in India, I think we are talking about, it being learner-centric and holistic and all that. But, like the speakers who have preceded me, I completely agree that this will happen only with, a proper transformation percolating down from the leaders to the teachers to the students. And yes, it is a complete ecosystem that we have to work on. As I think Dr. Ballal said, it's nothing new. But we, somewhere we got digressed. We know that we had Shanti Niketan, experiential learning was happening there. Not that we had a little, what should I say, an exposure to comprehensive continuous evaluation where a lot of involvement of students was happening. But somewhere, we digressed from our primary objectives. Now that this has come back in a different kind of a very, very structured manner, I think, it holds a lot of promise. And as instructional, as leaders of the school, there is a shift from somewhere, it had become that, principals have purely got, administrative work to do. And it had taken away from the primary role of the principals to be instructional and pedagogical leaders. So that is where we are looking at, where, as ma'am, Vindi ma'am said, that it's, high time that, there is a process to even appoint school leaders who will be change agents, who understand the requirements. Earlier, it's been a normal practice, somebody with a particular seniority is, appointed. Do we ever look into it that he or she has it in him or her, to be a leader? There are different aspects that a leader requires in today's times and age. We all know that, 60% of the jobs that are there today are primary. Children who are in primary today will not be seeing those jobs. So we have to prepare children for that kind of transformation, that kind of holistic approach, which, I mean, of course, we'll get into 21st century skills and all those kind of things. So we have to make them, proactive learners, where they construct their own learning experiences so that, they are enabled enough to deal with the problems that will come their way later. So that is what all NEP is trying to talk about. And yes, it has to begin with the leaders, of course, and of course, then training the teachers. So that's what I had to add over here.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Kanika, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. So I do agree with all three speakers, Dr. Ballal ma'am, Vindi ma'am, and Madulikka ma'am. So I'll also restrict myself to the role of school leaders. And how I see NEP is, it has to be seen by school leaders in three categories, I feel. One is the acceptance, as ma'am also said, Dr. Ballal said that it is here. And we have to accept that NEP is here for good, and it is here to transit the entire education system of India, and which was the need of the hour. And until unless we accept, we won't understand, we won't comprehend. So once we all as school leaders have accepted the fact that NEP is here to support our children, and at a larger perspective, making them good human beings, compassionate and creative human beings. So then comes the second part of it, which is the understanding and comprehension. Until unless we as leaders understand the entire drafts of NEP, foundational literacy, NCF, this and that, it won't work. And for such deliberations wherein we all come into one platform and we talk and discuss. And also I feel that, we as school leaders need to be there with each other. Me being a school principal should have hundreds of other school principals whom I know that they would support me no matter what. And if I'm in any doubt, I should reach out to them, and so do they should have the same trust with me. So I think that, because it is very difficult for us to understand and comprehend the entire document. When I read, my understanding of the document may be different from other school leader, and his or her understanding of the same document may vary. So it is very, very important for us to be reachable, to be approachable, and to be there for each other. And then third perspective comes the implementation. So once we have accepted, we have understood, we have such deliberations, then we can think of implementing NEP, and then of course come the teacher training and the mindset of the parents, how it can be changed, as Dr. Ballal mentioned. And all these things come at a later stage, but we as leaders have a major role, and we need to have such platforms wherein we can discuss and learn from each other. So that is what I believe in. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, all of you, for setting the context in a very perfect way. So we have spoken about the NEP expectations so far, but coming to the reality, right? It's not easy for everybody in all parts of, especially in India, if we talk, every granule of India is diverse, if we speak like that. So every region is different, every regional language is different, the upbringing is different, the parent mindset is different. So there are tier 1, 2, 3 in a few, in one state, there are so many different layers that are coming up. So with NEP having such expectations from the school leaders saying, you have to provide a holistic environment. So you need to replace some of the academic subjects and periods for these extracurriculars. So you have to collaborate with people like that. But when we come to the reality where the parents' expectations, they still lie in these academics basis, the STEM subjects, the typical maths and science. Pardon me if anybody is offended, but that's the reality, right? So it's just only one way of thinking, a very orthodox kind of thinking, if you speak like that. So I think it's challenging for the school leaders to convince the parents in the first place that, even if the school is trying to take any such initiative, so being in the, school environment for around 2.5 years now, so I have seen this closely. So that's why I'm able to escalate this issue. So school leaders are very passionate to inculcate or implement things like this, but the only hesitation comes when the parents, they come back and question saying, my son is he's supposed to read, he's supposed to study, but what are you, inculcating, and do you think this is useful? So these kind of challenges are not easy to deal with. So let's try to pander some attention over what kind of problems, school leaders, even we accept it wholeheartedly. That's clear now. Everybody is understanding and they are accepting that NEP, the policies are very important that are to be implemented. But to go full blast on this, we need to overcome all the challenges that are there. So can, let me start with Vindi ma'am, if we can start with, can you please let me know a few challenges that, you as, a school leader you are facing?
So when it comes to a choice of a discipline, when it comes to, maybe a higher standard of schooling or college, we have been conditioned to think always, we all know, even we come from that background, we've been conditioned to think that arts is not all that great, right? Oh, you've got to get into science, become a doctor or an engineer, or get into, space science, big. These are the big dreams, what our parents always looked, So when I say I'm in an education field, my mom or my grandparents would always tell me, "Arey, ye to kya hai? Teacher hi to hai. Baki kya hai?" So this is what is a cliched thinking what we all have. But do you all know? I'm sure we all would know that ancient India had this policy of having interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary choice of subjects, which is called the 64. It is called a Chaushashta Kala. It means 64 different disciplines could be combined with each other and made a choice of your career. You can choose your career. This was in ancient India. Nalanda, Takshashila, this was what our knowledge system was, which we have all forgotten, not in fact forgotten, but we were conditioned, or rules were made such that we were creating labor class out of our students, out of our children, to be able to work for the British company, for the East India Company. But now, because of the new education policy, the education policy now says that bring in this 64 different multidisciplinary choice of subjects. Thanks to the NEP 2020, this is going to be implemented very soon. But the awareness, what the generation, like the older generation, you have your parents, you have your aunts, you have your older, grandparents, the mindset there has to change. Even now, when we're in a juncture of, where the teenage child who's just finished 12th grade, the parent still wants them to go in a science field. We wouldn't think of them taking up a career in music. But where does that fault lie in? We do not have openings. We do not have job opportunities to become a musician. Whereas a child who learns music over here in India would always go abroad to do further studies in music, isn't it? Because they have big careers, they make big money, they become successful over there. But where in India, we don't have that kind of job opportunities. So what is NEP also talking? Is talking about creating that kind of opportunities for our children, so they take up this multidisciplinary choice of subjects. The child might be interested in bio, but at the same time, the child may be interested in music, classical singing. Opportunities are being created now. Awareness is there. Art, there are art clubs now. Young children go to art clubs. They learn painting. So a slight shift in that thought process is happening. Maybe our older generation, we come from an older generation. Our parents come from an older generation. They might not think that way. But the younger the crowd now, which we have seen that shift, the younger the parents, they are thinking of their children going into alternative careers. Radio jockey, they are saying, I'm very happy if my child gets into, a job as a radio jockey or a VJ or a musician or an art. Because see, money is not a problem now. We come from a household where there are double income. Our children are born with silver spoons now. Maximum of them, many of them. Unless you talk of a very low average income household,
Right.
And everybody so now parents are very open about career choices also. So because of this shift, I think, our country is moving in that direction where the ancient Indian knowledge system of having 64 interdisciplinary subjects will be implemented now. Yeah, that's all we can carry forward.
That's wonderful, ma'am. Thank you. I just got to know about this. 64 colors. I want to research about it.
You
But
should. It's
yeah.
Indian knowledge systems. It's a part of our NEP where it says that our Indian knowledge systems of having Sanskrit as a part of a subject, indigenous Indian games, stories from the Mahabharata, Jataka tales, Panchatantra, all should be implemented in our curriculum now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. So I think yes, it's very important to understand. I think world is revolving in circle as it is always. So we'll always get back to where we started. So I think we are blessed to see that era right now. So touch wood for that. And Kanika, ma'am, if you would like to tell me about few, challenges that you have observed.
Yeah, sure. As Vindi ma'am said, that it's all about going back to our Gurukul system, And if we compare the Gurukul system era and today's education system from, post-independence, there is a drastic change. And of course, as she said, that it talks about white collar jobs, wherein our children are under British impression and, are forced to sit on those four-wall classroom scenario. And the projects which are being given to them are of zero importance when it comes to experiential learning. Either the parents are getting the projects done or they are hiring people and getting the projects done, or Google is there, and now ChatGPT is there to help them out. So that is one thing. And another, I think that there are two major challenges in front of us as school leaders. One is the mindset of all people, all the stakeholders. Though we all happen to be progressive leaders and, we are so much into NEP and acceptance stage. But changing the mindset of the teachers is one basic major, challenge in front of us. And then, of course, comes the, the lot of parents who have this exact, kind of horse blinders, and they have this particular thought process in their mind that our child should go for engineering and, become a doctor and so on. So that is one challenge. So I think having more orientations and induction programs for the teachers, trainings, and same goes with the parents. So we need to have a lot of deliberations for them as well, because they are the stakeholders, and at the end of the day, it's the parents and the teachers who are going to help us out take NEP to a different level altogether. And the second major challenge for me, I think I do have my own worries and concerns as far as implementation of NEP comes, because I'm restricting myself to school implementation of NEP. So that talks about 15 years of schooling. And I don't know when do we have the actual implementation of NEP, and it will take entire 15 years for us to reach that stage. So that is one more challenge which I see. And of course, I feel that we also as school leaders do need some hand holding from other stakeholders who are into, vocationalism, skill education, the universities, the colleges, and the government, officials. So we also need some hand holding for all of them. Yeah. So
yeah, I think Rice School has 12th grade, right? Till 12th grade. So I think that's one more challenge. I feel like when you have to introduce it, and they'll be with you in their main crucial adolescent ages. So yeah, that will be one more challenge. Madhulika, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about challenges, one is, when there is an onslaught of things, it becomes very overwhelming. We do not know where to start, how to start. And that is actually a worry right now. And of course, lack of resources. When we are talking about, bringing in a lot of technology, and there has to be infrastructural changes, training of the teachers. How are we going to be, dealing with it? When we are talking about experiential learning, we need a lot of other supportive materials.
Right.
And of course, a lot depends upon the actual essence of the implementation. because as I was mentioning earlier, the CCE pattern, we, as somebody was mentioning that, it would just become an activity which parents would do, and just for the sake of doing it. So that is what my worry over here is, that both resources in terms of financial and human resources is my biggest worry. Of course, resistance to change is to begin with, but I feel that, with the, and as Kanika ma'am was saying, a lot of requirement is there. Before we go full-fledgedly into this, a lot of requirement is there for proper training, which I know there are agencies like, National Center of School, etc. But I think we have the biggest challenge that I feel right now is, although it has been going, if we see, even before the actual implementation began, we can see, it's been going in a very systematic manner. But because the task is so huge and humongous, it is definitely, we are feeling that, it is too much to actually implement in one go. Yes, it will take time. It needs patience. It needs, what should I say, the faith in our system. Faith that we've already know that, this is where that India was Vishwa Guru, and we are going to come back a full circle. So I think with we all, leaders who have a very progressive mindset, and I will choose to believe that we are more in number than the ones who have the other different kind of mindset. So I'm sure, there is going to be, we will definitely make sure that we become the agent of changes, and this is here to stay.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very well said, ma'am. And we all are, our intention is that, right, for these kind of conversations. So I think more conversation has to happen and more awareness has to be spread across, and let people know that school leaders are here to make this change. They are thinking in that way. Not everybody will get to know the voice of a principal or academic heads, what's their intention is, because so much chaos will happen in a day in a school. It's not easy to run. So there won't be any time for you all to, for anybody to understand like what kind of intentions you are coming up with when you enter the school. So Padma ma'am, so if you can also let us know, like, what are these kind of challenges that you face?
Of course, there are challenges. To change anyone's mindset is not a simple job, right? So when people come or parents come for counseling, also for admission counseling, it's not very easy to tell them what the school is going to give or what the school is going to have. To add to this points, we look parents as the customers, which is, I think that is making them more powerful to impart their knowledge about education on us. And then we agree to this. Acha, isko maths hi sikhana. Okay. He should do best in this. Okay. Then what should I do? Then you send him to this. Instead of saying that, what I do practically, I tell, do you go to a surgeon and tell the surgeon how he should operate? You only trust the surgeon saying that my ailment is this, and I need this. And if you say I have to operate, I operate. Do you ever sit in auto rickshaw and say that this is how you have to drive, and today you have to ride me? Then why schools? Why? Because leaders like us are allowing that. We should directly say that, trust us, we will do our job. And trust me, I have started saying that. So with this, because I have decided, whichever parent I reach to, I have to tell them, you may be educated, you may be, but literacy program is in our hand. Let us do our job. Your concerns are welcome. Your worries are welcome. But we are, as an expert here, let us design a curriculum and let us put forth. The values are missing in today's age parents also. When I say values, I mean dignity of labor. Right? If I say dignity of labor, even if the child is willing to do some Swiggy work at this, nahi, ye apna kaam nahi hai. Why would you do that? Right? If the child is saying, no, I will have my small shop where I will give newspaper or so the parents will not try, the parents will not see that the child is actually thinking like a leader. But what they're thinking, newspaper? Tu batega newspaper? So, that mindset, parents are not allowing children to expose. However, the children are of these mindsets. They all are entrepreneurs. You give them a chance and you think they can think out of the boxes. They can everyone create a new box for himself or herself. But we don't give that exposure to anyone. We think that children are blank slate. We can write anything. No. They aren't. They are the clay where we can mold them and give them shapes. No. They come with their own experiences. What we can do is we can enhance their we can give them experience and we can tell them that how do you do it. Instead of being a teacher, you should be a facilitator. So be a facilitator, give all the resources, let the child explore him or herself, let the child. But we don't even wait for 5 seconds to wait and listen what the child would like to. Once your question is over as a teacher, you want the child to answer. That patience is required, right? And here I say it is a big challenge. Saying it like patience is required, but to create that patience, how many of us are practicing that? None of us. We talk about being very mindful. How many of us are mindful? Unless and until we as a parent, we as a teachers, we as a leaders don't do it ourselves, it is not going to be percolated in the system. And once the wrong system starts, the whole ecosystem is affected. So these are the challenges where we are not taking our duty as our duty. There are also teachers who are thinking, "Arey, what are we doing in life? We are only a teacher." And there they have a good, talk with me saying that only a teacher, guru is a very respectful job. But if you have nothing to do, you be a guru. That's the mindset. So to change this mindset is a big challenge. I really don't know how much we can overcome these challenges, but we should not leave a single opportunity as a school leader to change it or to shape it, is what I can enclose or conclude the challenges. But there are challenges, number of challenges.
Yes. So I think the list would go on if we,
Exactly.
go on a very specific level to understand. But it's a good thing that we are insightful of these. Right, when we are not aware of these things, it's not easier, but we are insightful. And whoever watching this on YouTube, I think if it is even changing one mind, we are successful. So speaking of, we have spoken about NEP expectations, we have spoken about the challenges, and the concluding situation here is the way forwards. So as I said, I've little much what I have, understood about your institutions. So Vindi ma'am, if I have to start with you, Nerva Education Foundation, the first thing that attracted my eyes or my attention was your emphasis on saving the environment. So your emphasis on nature learning, the kids adorably, they were doing all the, activities and stuff. Right. So would you tell me like one way forward, like something that you want to initiate forward, one step, something?
Okay. So what, now because we are hosting the G20, this is an activity which I would like to share with everybody, is like to make children aware of what is this G20 and why are we a part of it and what is that we are propagating by hosting G20 in our nation.
Right.
This is the first time in the history of a big democracy, it's the biggest democracy in the world, which is hosting G20. So what are the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, which we can implement in our classroom? Because we're a predominantly preschooling children we have. So we have implemented simple SDGs. The first activity which we took of the Sustainable Development Goal was reuse, recycle, which we all have been doing. Haven't we been doing that? We've been doing that in our schools. Recycling of the plastic bottles, reusing your waste. So when we make them realize that these are your goals, which are your future goals, when you keep on focusing in that, your future goal is not to get a job and start earning because we are born with luxuries. Our future goals are to save your environment. because the wars tomorrow, I assume, are going to be water wars, wars on the environment, bio warfare. So how can we teach our young children? The SDGs cover everything. They have 12 goals, which we all as educators can start implementing that in our classrooms itself with simple activities. Involve the parents. When there's an activity done, involve the parents, because then the parents also will be aware this is what we have to do as a contribution. Being a human born on this earth, this is what we give back to the earth through our children. This is a simple little thing which I want you all to do in your classrooms.
Thank you, ma'am. And Padma, ma'am, as we speak, head over heels school, as I have seen so much, and the emphasis was more on homely environment for the kids, right? So your welcoming words were that we provide a second home for kids. So, ma'am, what would you like? What are your next steps? Like, what are you looking at? That one implementation.
Yes, so you have rightly picked up that I always say it as a home for children, right? So it is not a school, it is home for children, it is a center for children. Here, we allow, children to explore the definition also. So we run an experiential school. The name itself says that you experience. So every concept is taught through experiencing it, through learning, through doing it. So definitions are also created by our children. By allowing them, we give all the resources, they make it, and then they say, ma'am, this has happened, and so that's why it is burning, and now it has turned. So what has happened? So the coal that you took is not burnt into ash. So some chemical reaction has taken place. And then what has reaction taken place, that we write and we tell them how it is. So experiential learning is what I would quote. That is the carry forward thing I would say. That way forward is to give children experiential learning and also integrate it with technology. Right? Because computer age. So technology will definitely help them how to go about that, how to put forth their thought technically, so that they can reach, in one click, they can reach to millions.
Absolutely.
So I would say experiential learning with technology. That's instigation.
Agree, and thank you so much. And Madulika, ma'am, Amanora school. So it's the CBSE school with for till 10th grade, right? So much I have seen. So your emphasis and the focus was more on shaping the next gen entrepreneurs, and next generation skills have been properly portrayed on your website. So what would you like to take forward from here?
Okay, so first of all, we are a school till grade 12, and we have and we have all the 3 streams. And yes, definitely our as our vision says, that we are here to nurture future-ready global citizens.
Right.
So it is, we provide them with a platform where, as ma'am said, they are part of their own learning experiences. And we believe that, of course, completely agree that teacher today is a facilitator. But we ensure, that she is trained to be a facilitator to begin with. So we give them very rigorous professional development training, where our teachers are aware that, no lesson is going to be taught in a very, very, traditional kind of a manner. So active learning and multiple intelligences are incorporated in every lesson that is delivered. So when I talk about active learning strategies, our children, they get a platform where they explore, how to go about learning a concept. And that gives them an ample opportunity to explore all the, what would I say, 21st century skills, whether it is problem solving, communication, using technology. And that in itself is a complete holistic, package. So that is what we are trying to inculcate. And yes, a lot of emphasis is, laid on making it relevant to children with the diverse learning styles. So we cater to that as well. And of course, keeping multiple intelligence, we were talking about radio jockeys. And so as to ensure that it is not possible because of the paucity of time, but we have teachers who incorporate music, rhythm, kinesthetics, all in, a lesson so as to cater to everybody. And not only that, I'm very proud to share with you that we have a very unique, I wouldn't say a competition, but a platform for teachers. We call it Lead by Example, where teachers, who have throughout the year have come up with some innovative styles of delivering lessons. They get a platform and we open it for the teachers of entire Pune. So we actually could do that during pandemic because, it showed us the way, to go online. But I'm glad that this last year we could bring it even offline to the teachers from various parts of Pune. So, where teachers can explore various ways which can be, provided to students to become integral part of the learning, own the learning that they are going through. So, I know there is paucity of time. We could just, all of us, we have, I think, plethora, we have a treasure trove, and I would love to listen to the co-panelists. And that is one thing which I would like to, the challenges are many, but I feel the kind of experiences, the kind of, all the leaders that we have something to bring to the table. So I think it is where if we just, break those barriers. And the good thing is that we are leaders in times and age where gone are the way, days of just competition. I think we all will agree that the survival is going to be only of those who are collaborators. Yes. So I think competition is over, cooperation is fine. It is the age of collaboration. Right. And so much to learn from each other. And I think if we can collaborate with each other and learn from each other's experiences, this challenge is definitely going to dissolve, and we will be able to make small change in this journey of, transformation. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think there is time constraint. Kanika ma'am, if you can just quickly give few words of next step.
Yes, so I won't take much of the time. So we work on 3 core principles: science, vocationalism, and spirituality. As Madulika ma'am said, it's time for collaboration. So we in our school, we don't have much of inter-house competitions, but we have more of inter-house collaborations going on. And when it comes to spirituality, we do have our own Itihasa text. And one particular time is allotted for Itihasa text for all the grades, which as in Vindi ma'am had touched upon, and even Dr. Ballal, that, we spoke about value education and, Gurukul system. So that Itihasa book contains the best of lessons from our Itihasa text, Mahabharata and Ramayana. So we actually work, and I strongly believe, as Madhulika ma'am said, we all need to work together. We need to keep in mind the combination of head, heart, and hands. So a lot of hands-on learning as well is needed for NEP. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all of you for giving your time. I hope this conversation was, a little interesting for you guys also. That I feel I played a good part in that. So thank you so much, ma'am. I've learned a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, Sunayana.
Thank you so much. Pleasure was entirely ours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.